Hello and welcome to Somewhere on the Spectrum. This week I want to talk about something that came up in one of the autism groups that I run. We were talking in our group about the challenge of silence. So to clarify, I'm not talking about the peace and quiet of your own home or of being out in nature. I'm talking about imposed silence in public places, libraries, possibly meditation if you go to like a meditation class, silence in class, minutes of silence for armistice and other things, being told not to talk by teachers, exam silence, public bathroom silence, that's a weird one, end of yoga class, like when you're doing the what's it called, pranayama at the end and everybody's silent breathing, that's weird. Punishment silence, all of the kinds of public silence that we have to endure. And in our group, what we were talking about is how this is a major problem. So think about it for yourself. This may or may not be an issue for you. You may be good with silence. You may be like, whew, thanks, finally. But if you have issues with silence, let's take a look at that. So why is silence, public silence, a problem for us? Sensory overload. When the room goes quiet, our senses pick up everything else in the room that maybe the noise was covering for us a little bit. So suddenly, if there are lights that are buzzing or bright lights, then we might become more aware of the lighting in the room. We might become more aware of noises, anyone shuffling, coughing, sneezing, any physical sensations in our own body that we're like, now they really need to get out. Smells, noise, all these kind of extra things, we can hear it all now, suddenly way more than we could hear it before. So sensory overload. Demand avoidance. If someone has told you to be quiet, so if we go back to punishment silence, being told not to talk by teachers, this kind of thing. Someone has told you not to talk, then your demand avoidance might flare. So your brain is going, I don't want to. And then it becomes very, very difficult for you to avoid making silence. Your whole body then may start to buzz with a feeling of like, I don't want to in reaction to that. It might be that you don't understand or you disagree with the reason for silence. I had this feeling this year with armistice. My parents were telling me about being in a cafe, and they came around the cafe and told everyone we're going to have a minute's silence for armistice. And then apparently everybody's watches were at different times, so it was a bit farcical. The minute was going on forever and ever and ever. And I just felt like this is so dumb. Once a year we spend a minute, and you know most of the people in that minute are making their shopping lists or thinking about what they're going to watch on TV at night. To me, the minute of silence this year just seemed kind of pointless. There are so many things happening, and this whole thing with armistice of never again, never forget, all of these things about remembering so that we don't do it again, and then Palestine. And it's like... we're just going to have a minute of silence and pretend that that's not happening. What? Luckily, nobody asked me to do a minute of silence this year. So I had the opportunity to think about it and process it before I was ever needing to do it. But I think that makes it harder. If somebody came around and did that while I was in a cafe, I'd have the demand avoidance of you're telling me what I should do, and the expectation that as a member of society, you're going to do what everybody thinks you should do, which is not a good place for us to be in. But then secondly, if you don't agree with that whole thing as a premise, then it can be very, very difficult to sit there and just be quiet. Fear of bodily noise. I did briefly pass over this. Fear of bodily noises. So if we feel the need to cough or tummy rumbling or anything like that, that can make everything really, really stressful because we're sitting there with this rule of you shouldn't make any noise. And of course we take that literally, right? So we're like, you shouldn't make any noise. Oh my goodness, my stomach is making a noise. So this can all add up to us feeling very overwhelmed. If you're ADHD, you have the additional fun bits of impulsivity. So your body and your brain are desperately wanting to escape out and do something, say something, scream, laugh, snort, cough, whatever. And we know it's really, really hard to not act on your impulses. So that's going to be really challenging, to feel all those impulses and not do anything about it. Whizzy brain. If you have ADHD, your brain is all over the place. And if you're suddenly in a silent place, that is going to ramp up big time. So you're probably going to have lots of ideas, lots of thoughts, lots of things happening. Maybe the impulse to quickly get out a notepad and write some brilliant idea down, all these kind of things going on. And potentially you're going to have a fidgety body. Your body's not going to like the idea that you should sit still and quiet. You might have the temptation to sit on your hands, or you might just be squiggling and fidgeting and really struggling to stay still in that situation, which, if you've got a teacher who's watching you, they don't like that very much. The pressure of trying to manage your traits might lead to stimming, loud emotions like laughing or crying or coughing, the need to fill in the sound somehow, which might lead to a meltdown, a feeling of pressure building in your body, and building emotions, which could be anger or frustration, or you might not know if you're like slamming. So when we have this situation that has been imposed upon us, or maybe we've chosen to be in this public silence situation, all of our traits add up to make it very difficult for us to maintain that for very long. And then our body is going to try and deal with that pressure somehow. So if you were the kid at school who burst out laughing whenever you were supposed to be sitting in silence, it's probably your body's way of expressing that pressure somehow out of your body. So don't be surprised with those kind of things, you know, the person who laughs in funerals, things like that. So don't be surprised if you struggle with these kind of situations and your body or brain don't behave as you would like. So what can we do? Breathing. It doesn't sound very much, does it? Breathing is good. Breathing is always good. If you're in this kind of situation, you might find that you are holding your breath to try and keep your focus or prevent yourself from doing the wrong thing. Or you might find that you're not breathing well or not breathing deeply, which is going to lead to you yawning and getting more frustrated. So if you're feeling this building of your emotions, try and focus on breathing deeply. One of the meditations that I find quite useful is when you breathe in, you're trying to breathe all the way down, opening each part of your chest as you go so that your stomach is very big and full of air, and then squeezing it all out from the bottom up. So you're sort of inflating it from the top down and then deflating it from the bottom up. And focusing on that process can take up actually a lot of space in your head. And it's making you do some deep breaths and focus on your body. So these things together can mean that it can distract us for long enough that we can get through our minute of silence or whatever it is. But also you're filling your body with air. And so you're de-stressing your body. We're trying to bring down the cortisol level. And obviously, as an autistic person, your cortisol is not going to react the same way as a neurotypical person. So this kind of situation, your cortisol could be going through the roof, even though theoretically it shouldn't be that stressful. So this breathing can really help bring down your cortisol level, bring down your stress levels so that you can cope for longer. You could try squeezing your fingers. We talked about this a little while ago with the tapping. Tapping is really helpful, but you look super weird if you're in public and you start tapping in the middle of a minute of silence. People are going to wonder what's going on. So it turns out the pressure points are also in the ends of your fingers and your thumb. So you can just work your way backwards and forwards along your hands like this, and it will also have a similar impact. It's not going to be as big of an impact as tapping, but it's better than nothing. Also, the side of your hand is a tapping point, so you could do that too. But I find this one is really unobtrusive. People don't really notice it very much. So this is the one that I use in highly stressful situations, in confrontational situations, anywhere where you can kind of keep your hands down or under the table and you're managing your stress or letting off some of the emotions. So that works. If you have a good brain in terms of imagination, some of us can, some of us can't, but if you can imagine really well, then try and build a place to go to. You could just go to your favorite place if you have one. If not, you could build one from scratch. So it could be a forest, it could be a beach, it could be a mountainside, it could be your front living room, wherever you feel at peace and calm. Try to build that place in your head. So close your eyes and try to imagine all of the parts of that place. What does it sound like? What does it smell like? All of those kind of things. Just really, what does it look like? And that process, again, is calming you down. It's giving you something else to focus on and taking you out of this room that you're in. And finally, you could try and think about your own logic to be there. So if this has been imposed upon you, you could try and see if you can find a reason why you think you should be there. This doesn't always work, but you can at least see if there's some way that you can make sense of why you're here, why it's good for you to be here, why you might want to be here. And it might be something really simple, like I came for a cup of coffee and I needed to calm down, so this is how I can calm down. Or it could be something more complicated, but finding your own reason to be there can help you overcome the demand avoidance, because instead of it being someone imposing on you, you're turning it into, I want to be here, I choose to be here, I'm lucky to be here. And then it's much easier to cope with. So let me know in the comments if you've experienced this challenge of public silence. And if this was helpful, please like, subscribe, or share with a friend. I'll see you next time. Bye.